this is a demonstration of a setup that we've done within our Chief Technology Office, just to give an idea of the sort of technology capabilities that a high-speed data network can provide. What we have here is a web-based mapping system that displays real-time feeds, geographically referenced feeds such as social media inputs, things like Twitter posts and Instagram photo posts. It has access to real-time weather information. It's got a feed from computer-aided dispatch systems, so that from the one view anywhere in the world I can see an incident and I can see all of the relevant information that may be able to be drawn upon to help me combat that incident. And one of the feeds that could potentially come into this is this example where we have here a belt that in this case a police officer might wear, that has been Bluetooth enabled and connected through to a public safety mobile data device, such as a ruggedized smartphone, and equally to a two-way radio. So we've got a range of devices, and then they are tied again via wireless Bluetooth connection to a set of smart glasses. So from these glasses, all the time I can tell what radio channel I've got selected, what the volume is currently set at. If any of my team are in a state of emergency, then that will be notified to me directly in my view, so I can keep my eyes up and my hands free and get on with the task.
A key issue is that very often organizations will hand the keys to the social media to the young person. And there's a certain rationale to that because they have the technical knowledge, they understand the tools. The challenge is it's not really about the tools. Those tools can be taught. They're not that complicated, and we've done it with all kinds of people, so that's not really the issue. The core of it is about judgment. It's about who speaks on behalf of you in the midst of a crisis or in the midst of preparation or at any point in time. And we'll see organizations struggle to send messages up and down to get them all signed off before they go out. And the worse things get, the more you move into crisis mode, the higher the instinct is to make sure everything is covered. Where I think the great opportunity is to say, let's give someone who we really trust internally, who gets us, who knows how to communicate us, who the public trusts as well, or will come to trust over time, because that happens over time. And let's put them there.
So we all have those people who, every day they're in the office at 8 o'clock, never miss. And we come to expect that. Our subconscious picks that up and we start to create a picture about what's happening about this person. We expect it in our fire services and our emergency response, no matter what it is. We have these pictures about, you will be there when I need you. And when you're not, that transforms things dramatically. But that consistency and commitment is incredibly important. When you think of it from a social media perspective, it's not that you're posting every day just because you're for the sake of posting. Part of it is actually reinforcing that sense of consistency and commitment that people need in order to trust you. If you don't know what people are going to do next, it's very hard to do business with them or to know how you actually work with them.
We're still very much in this space of the young people will do the social media and so there is a bit of a cultural shift required, and cultural shifts don't happen quickly. I think we are moving in that direction, and there are people who are seeing I'm just not sure they're seeing the value in it, but they're being sort of pushed into it, and then they're starting to go, oh, okay, and they're actually actively learning it themselves rather than sort of seeing the value and being in part of it because of the value of how we would use social media to improve what we're doing. So to try and increase the capability in the cultural shift, I think conferences like this are always really good, and it brings it front of mind again of that social media thing.
The one thing that does strike me though is when you chat with people who are struggling to understand why would we do this, is to get them to shift the conversation away from social media and really talk about what's the outcome you're after. What is it that drives you crazy about the public during a crisis? What is it that frustrates you during times of preparation? And how are you dealing with that? And start the conversation there. Because when the conversation is, we have to use social media because 93% of Australians who are online are using it, so they're there, so because they're there, we have to talk to them, is not going to cut it anymore. I think the people who be swayed by that have been swayed, and the rest are kind of going, so?
That's everyone else.
Right.
Exactly.
But
that's not me.
When they start to realize and say, you know what, we had a really tough time explaining to people how to do this, Or we just spent a fortune in flyers trying to explain that when it could be sent out digitally. I mean, we don't advocate drop everything and just do social media ever. You say, what's the mix of tools and channels that you use to connect with people where they are? All of a sudden the conversation changes because it's more focused on what's the mission, what's the outcome, what are the goals that we have, what are the problems we're trying to solve, and then how do we solve it? As opposed to say, oh, we must because everyone else is, look, they are too. It's a weak argument. It's a weak argument. And no leader worth their salt, I think, would accept it just because everybody else is doing it. It's a terrible reason to do it.